introduction to the people who are following and watching right now. My
Perfect.
name is Susie. If you've ever messaged the Acaia account, usually you're going to be talking to me. We've been doing these IG lives the last little while to kind of bring almost a sense of normality in a way, to talk about topics that people are interested in. So we've been talking about coffee competitions, which we're going to
Hmm.
discuss today. We've been talking about cheese, we've been talking about fermentations, all that kind of stuff. Uh, if you can think of something, we'll try and talk about it, is what we're saying. And I would love for you to give yourself an introduction as well.
Yeah, totally. So my name is Kay. I am here to talk a little bit about the U.S. Barista competition, U.S. Coffee Championships, and my time as a Glitter Cat barista because I was a
Mm.
member of the Glitter Cat barista cohort for 2020. I am a Taurus, if you're into astrology. And I've been a barista for a few years now. I currently live in Cincinnati and I work as a barista right now in coffee. So that's a little bit about myself. I don't know if there's anything else people want to know about,
Oh, we
but
have
I
a
guess
whole
they can
hour,
ask
don't worry.
questions. Yay!
We have a whole hour to talk about stuff. And on that note, if anyone does have any questions for either of us to do with coffee or competitions, glitter cat, quarantine, anything like that, people can easily ask here. Maybe not quarantine.
I haven't been
Uh,
doing anything, honestly. I don't think anyone wants to ask about my quarantine. It's been incredibly uneventful.
yeah. Oh no, but that's the point, right?
Yeah.
That's been the point. So if anyone does have any questions, um, please, there's a little teeny tiny box at the bottom of your screen, which has a little question mark. Put your questions there, and that means that if you ask a question, we can bring it up. And if people are coming in or out of the chat, that we people know what we're talking about, so they're not confused.
Perfect.
Um, yeah. So a little bit about how I know you. I actually follow you on Twitter. I think we follow both of us on both of each other on Twitter.
Yes.
So it's been a long, warm day.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that you are very much into coffee competitions. You're
Hmm.
very much into the coffee community. Animal Crossing,
Yes, absolutely.
yes. I am very much into Animal Crossing, so I know that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
How did you, just to go on kind of more on topic, how did you get started in coffee?
In coffee in general.
Oh, in
So,
general, you can say
yeah,
from specialty or from even before that, if you like.
yeah. So, I got started in coffee in college. So, I went to Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, and I got a job as an inventory manager at this small nonprofit student-run cafe in the residence hall that I was living in at the time. Mostly because I needed a job and I wanted to find a way to kind of work with the community that I was living in. The residence hall I was living in was very community oriented and very like learning oriented. So we did a lot of events. So I applied for a job as the inventory manager of this cafe. I had no coffee experience. I knew nothing about coffee. I didn't even drink coffee. For the first 2 years of college, I didn't drink coffee. And I know a lot of people talk about, they started drinking coffee when they were in high school or when they went to college. I did not. I did not like it. So I got this job and I started working behind bar a little bit. And I realized that my favorite thing about coffee and about this job was my ability to connect with people. And especially at this residence hall living learning center, I was able to really get to know everybody in the community and get to know all these customers pretty personally because they would come in, every night. We were open from 8 p.m. to midnight because it was
Wow.
purely for students because we were student run nonprofit. So like late hours. And I worked like once or twice a week. So I really got to know all these amazing community members. And I ended up working there for about a year and I had to leave for health reasons. So I stepped down from my position and I was out of coffee for a few months. And then I got started working again in a cafe in Bloomington. This one was not student run or like nonprofit. It was like a, for profit second wave cafe, kind of like hanging out in Bloomington that a lot of students went to. I got hired there, and I at that point I knew that I really liked working in coffee. I knew that I really liked getting to know people. I really love talking to people. I like to think that I'm a very friendly person. And so I really like being able to connect with people. It's one of my favorite things about the industry. And so at that point, I wasn't really super into coffee as a product or
Mm.
coffee as like an art form, but I still really loved what I was able to do with it. And I think it was a few months into working at this shop that I realized, you know what, like I really like doing this. Not only do I like hanging out with people, getting to know my customers and working through rushes, but I also really like the art form of it as well. I really like experimenting with coffee. I really like experimenting with flavors. And so at that point, probably a year and a half or 2 years into my barista career, I was like, okay, maybe I'll stick with this. And so ever since then, I think that was 2 years ago, I've moved around quite a bit.
Hmm.
So this was in Indiana. I actually lived in New York State for a short period of time, for about a year. I lived in central upstate New York. It was a town called Syracuse. So I worked there for about a year, and then I moved to Cincinnati a year ago. And I've been working at my current cafe for I think 8 months now. But
Nice.
yeah, I got started the way a lot of people get started. You know, they get a job when they're a young adult, when they're in college, because they need some sort of income, and then I fell in love with it.
Mm. That's
Hmm.
good. No, that's nice. And I like when you just started describing it as a career, because
Yes,
I think that's what
definitely.
a lot of people do. They work in coffee for a little while and then they suddenly go, actually, no, this is a career now.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is exactly what happened because I got the job. You know, I applied for the job because there was an opening for it.
Hmm.
And I'm a very organized person. So I was like, you know what? I can be an inventory manager. I can totally do that. And then, you know, within 2 years, I realized that there was so much more to the industry and so much more to coffee that I found really fulfilling and fulfilling in a way that I hadn't experienced before, especially in a job setting. So, 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to make coffee my career, whatever that means, whatever,
Believe me, it can take you
however.
anywhere. Let's just
Yes.
say that I started in coffee when I was in Dublin, and actually a
Mm-hmm.
friend just gave a shout out who is from Cork, their own.
Oh, yay.
I started making coffee for fun. No, not for fun. It was a job in Dublin, and then
Mm-hmm.
hello, I'm here a couple of years later, and now I'm in Berlin, working for Acaia. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. Um, but it's funny. Like, how did you end up doing competitions? Did you heard of Glitter Cat beforehand?
So, no, I didn't know anything about coffee competition until until I attended Glitter Cat. So, a year ago, or a year and a half ago, right before I moved to Cincinnati, I started following Glitter Cat on Instagram
Hmm.
because I started following T-Ben on Instagram. Because at that point, I decided that I needed to find every single coffee professional that I could, and every single coffee professional that personally inspired me, and I needed to follow them on social media because
Hmm.
I wanted to kind of I wanted to network in the industry. You know, I feel like a lot of people do that kind of stuff, a lot of networking stuff. And so I decided I needed to follow everybody on Instagram, right?
Hmm.
Up until that point, I had only followed tattoo artists and friends that I had met throughout the years.
I
So
just have
started
a
following,
quickly have a question for you.
yeah,
And I will just say, just as a reminder to people who are following, your pronouns are they, them, right?
correct. Thank you.
Yes. I wanted to remind people who are following. What is your current cafe in Cincinnati?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I work at Collective Espresso.
Hmm.
So we have two locations. We have one downtown, and then we have another location in this kind of eclectic neighborhood called Northside. So
Nice.
Collective Espresso.
Nice. And like, would you class that as specialty, or would you class that as sort of something that kind of goes towards traditional and specialty, or is it like,
I think that we're specialty. I would
okay,
classify us as specialty third wave. I know that there's a whole bunch of discussion about what third wave even means or what specialty even means, but I would say from my experience there, we're definitely specialty.
okay, nice, nice. I'll let you continue.
Yes. No
Because we
worries.
are gonna answer questions as they come in,
Yes,
for
I'm
sure.
totally cool with that. I actually really like answering questions. I don't know why. It's something I find fun. So yeah, I basically started following all these people on Instagram, and I followed Glitter Cat. I didn't fully understand what it was. I
Okay.
didn't understand that it was related to competition. I thought it was mostly just about training baristas. And then a year ago, when they released the applications for this year's cohort, I was like, okay, I'm going to do some Googling. I'm going to find out what this is actually about. And so I went on the Glitter Cat website. I followed more people on Instagram from the 2019 cohort, the first year. Um, and I looked up coffee competition. I looked up the US Barista Championship and I watched some videos. And I was
Oh,
like,
you're going down a
oh,
dark path.
yeah, yes. And my immediate thought after watching these videos, I was like, I can't do this. I I was like, there's no way. Like these people are so talented and so charming and they know so much information and I am not at that point in my career yet. I'm not. I don't know anything about it. Um but honestly after following some of the people in the 2019 Glitter Cat cohort and talking to a few people who I'm friends with in Cincinnati and who I've met in my career, I decided that, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe it's worth a shot. And so I applied to Glitter Cat on a whim. Um, I answered all the fun essay questions. For those of you who have not filled out a Glitter Cat application, most of the application questions are not related to competition. They're more about getting to know you as a person.
Mm.
So I talked a little bit about what I like about garden gnomes on my application. I made a
What
top
was this?
10
Wait,
list.
wait, wait a second. What was the question that led you into talking about garden gnomes?
So I think the question was, how do you feel about garden gnomes? I think
Okay,
that
I thought
was
it was
one
going to
of
be
the
a little bit.
questions.
I
No,
thought.
not nearly as fun. But the question was, what? How do you feel about garden gnomes? So I ended up writing this essay about finding beauty in ordinary and everyday things. I did a top 10 list of my favorite plants because I collect plants. I have a lot of house plants. And I got accepted in the Glitter Cat. And when I got that notification, I was like, they made a mistake. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know who chose me for this, but I should drop out. I didn't.
Wait, whoa!
Um,
You already were going to drop out before you even went?
well, I wasn't really going to. I really wasn't. I was going to do it anyway. But of course, as like an individual in coffee who didn't really know anything about coffee competition, and I mean, I knew nothing going into the Glitter Cat boot camp. I knew nothing about competition. So getting
Then you're the
accepted,
perfect malleable. You're the perfect malleable person. Then
that's
you're the dream
true.
to them.
That's true. They were able to teach me everything from the ground up. Um, so yeah, I did like I immediately got the acceptance and I was like, I can't do this. They made the wrong decision. I don't know why I decided to apply. But I ended up connecting with a lot of my fellow Glitter Cats from this cohort this year, all the people I attended boot camp with, and every single person I talked to was like, you know what, I had the same reaction. Like, I got my acceptance and I was like, I can't do this. They made a mistake. Every single person, every single one of us. And that actually, that kind of solidarity, imposter syndrome, gave me the confidence to actually fly out to Seattle that November weekend and attend the boot camp. So yeah, I knew
Amazing.
nothing about competition. I had not competed before. I watched YouTube videos from 2019 and that was it. I knew nothing.
I did the
Nothing.
same thing. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been working in coffee for maybe let's say 3 weeks to no, it was more like 2 or 3 months. And then I did a coffee competition and I
Mm-hmm.
bombed it. Like the only reason there's no videos online of it is because you can't show that not safe for work stuff online because that was a little literal carnage. That's why it's not online. So there was a question. What is your favorite origin of bean or blend at Collective?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we had to close temporarily.
Hmm.
So we don't have any coffee on at Collective right now. But when we closed, my favorite coffee that we had on was actually my nationals competition coffee. Um, it was
Nice.
a naturally processed Rwandan from the Kanini Farmers Association,
Wow.
from Kanini Village. So the Kanini Farmers Association is this amazing cooperative that got started pretty recently in the past few years or so. And this coffee, the naturally processed one that I competed with, was the first naturally processed lot out of this specific cooperative in the Kanini Village. And if you had told me that it was the first naturally processed lot before I tasted it, I would not have had super high expectations. Um, but it's an amazing coffee. It is fantastic. So naturally processed Canini. My roasters are Deeper Roots Coffee out of Cincinnati, who I have a pretty close working relationship with right now. So that was my favorite coffee that we had on when we closed, at least. I'm a sucker for Rwandan coffee. It's
Hmm.
been my favorite origin for probably a year and a half now. I love Rwandan coffee, and I think my second favorite, I really, really love. I love blends. I will say I do love a really well done blend. Um, and I also really love Ethiopian coffee. I think Ethiopian coffee is awesome. So, yeah, Rwandan is my favorite. Naturally processed Rwanda from Kanini. Keep an eye out for it next year because it is fantastic.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would. And what if you're not drinking that at the moment? What are you drinking?
So, I actually have a little bit of it left that I've been
Okay.
hoarding. Um, I have been. Right now, I am drinking another two other Deeper Roots coffees that I have in my kitchen at the new house. Actually, everything is split between my current apartment and the new place. I have an Ethiopia Guji, naturally
Hmm.
processed, which was my qualifiers coffee. Um, Also an amazing coffee. And then I have a Guatemala from Deeper Roots. I think it's La Armonia Hermosa, which
Nice.
is also an amazing story. Um, Deeper Roots has a very close relationship with this specific farm, and I love supporting that. So those are the three coffees I have on right now. I think three. Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
And a very, very important question. Do you like cats?
I love cats. I have a cat. Her name is Olive. She's the love of my life, and she is fat. So yes, I do love cats. Hmm. She
Great.
is. She's she's actually not. She's not overweight, which is funny, but she has really short legs, so she looks
Oh,
massive.
okay, that's
Like
nice.
she looks huge, but she's not. She just has really short legs.
That's so cute.
I know she's my favorite.
Nice. I'm actually myself and my flatmate are getting a cat on Saturday, so we're very excited.
I'm so excited for you. That's so awesome.
Do you have Olive somewhere? Someone is asking.
So Olive is locked. I'm in my living room right now. Olive is locked in the other room because she loves the camera. Um,
That doesn't sound
and
bad at all.
well, yeah, but also she'll like kind of like try and crawl up and get in the way. And
Okay.
the thing about her, she really likes sitting like on my neck and on my face. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to inhale cat hair right now. So I'll leave her in the other room for right
Okay.
now. She's
Uh,
hanging out with the dog.
oh, nice. Okay, that's good. You got a
Hmm.
cooperative household.
Somewhat, yeah.
Um, I cannot pronounce your name. What would you say to the next round of bitter cats that are on the fence about applying?
So I would say that you should just do it. just take the leap and apply. I was really on the fence about doing it too. Because like I said, I didn't know anything about competition. I've been a barista for 4 years, but I certainly did not think that I was ready to compete. I honestly didn't think I could do it. And the biggest thing that I got out of Glitter Cat and out of that boot camp were the connections that I made.
Hmm.
And kind of not only the connections, I met an amazing family of people there that I am very proud to consider a family. Not only this year's cohort of baristas, but this year's cohort of people across all the boot camps. And also the 2019 cohort. I know a few of them as well. So if you're on the fence about applying and you're on the fence about competition in general, I totally get that. I was 110% on the fence about competing and about applying because I didn't think I could do it. But the boot camp itself is an amazing experience. It's hard. It's 2.5, 3 days of, feet on the ground working and learning, but you're also working with amazing industry professionals. I worked with a whole bunch of people that I consider icons personally, or that I considered role models that I never knew I would be able to meet in person and have them affirm my abilities and my skills and also teach me new things. So if you're on the fence, you should take the leap. My essay that I wrote for Glitter Cat was about learning how to invest in myself and how throughout my life in a lot of, a variety of fields, I've never felt like I've been good enough or I'm not there yet to take that leap to do different things. But then, a year ago, I realized I'm never going to reach that there point.
Mm.
I'm never going to reach that point where I'll feel secure enough in myself to know that I deserve these really amazing opportunities. So why not invest in myself and why not take that risk?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you should do it. You should join us. It's a lot of fun. You'll meet amazing people. And, if you do the boot camp and you compete in qualifiers and you realize you absolutely hate it, that is a-okay. That is so fine. It does, like, it's not about the place you take, it's about the place you make. Is the slogan or the motto that T-Ben always tells us. So if you do the boot camp, have a great time, you learn a lot, and then you compete in qualifiers and you disqualify or you realize you hate it or you place first place, but you still realize you hate it, that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And even I think even the whole idea of applying
Mm-hmm.
to GlitterCat, even if you don't get through, you have to like create what you're putting in. You have to create how you're feeling and put it into words, which might
Yes,
really kind of lay out what you want to do and why you're doing it. So I think
exactly.
even applying it will be like the next step of you eventually
Mm-hmm.
competing or not competing or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is always the judge and volunteer sides of competition.
Correct.
To be honest, they're over my years of attending stuff, they're actually some of the best people I've ever met are the judges and
Mm-hmm.
volunteers. I'm sure you've done competition now,
Mm-hmm.
and like how did you? Was it what you expected?
Yes and no. So it was what I expected in the sense that I felt very properly trained for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I had that amazing experience, that 3 day boot camp where I worked with these world-class professionals, but I didn't expect to love it. I really did not expect to like it. I certainly did not expect to qualify for
Mm-hmm.
nationals, especially as a first year competitor. It really came as a surprise to myself. Um, so that was completely unexpected. Um, I had some level of confidence in knowing that I would put on a performance that I was proud of. I knew that I would be able to perform well. Um, like I said, I really like talking to people. I like performing, so that part I felt confident in. It came pretty naturally to me. But I didn't expect to like it. I really didn't. Like, I didn't expect to walk off stage and think, you know what? I want to do this again. When I did the boot camp and I was learning all these different things, I kind of had the attitude of, well, I'm going to do this qualifying competition. I'm probably going to hate it and I'm never going to do it again. But it was a great experience. And I walked off stage. I had to, for qualifiers, I actually had to do my performance twice because the
Wow.
first time there was a technical mishap. So I had to go twice in the weekend, which I was not expecting and was horrifying to me. But both times I walked off and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to do this again next year. Like, this is going to be so much fun. I already have ideas for my routine and my coffee and what I want to do a little bit differently. So it was what I expected in terms of I felt very prepared for it in the technical aspect or what I knew I needed to do. But, excuse me, I did not know that I would want to do it again. That
Yeah.
really came as a shock.
Yeah. And we have one question that someone has asked. What is your opinion on the Louisville? Is that how you say it? Louisville?
Yes.
Yeah, Louisville coffee scene. I would say
I
Louisville.
I honestly have never been. Um,
Oh,
so I don't really know anything. Actually, that's a lie. I've been to Louisville once. Um,
did you
for
drink
a day
coffee?
trip. I did not. No, it was a day trip that I did with um, the residence hall that I lived in my freshman year of college, and I did not drink coffee. The only coffee place I know of in Louisville is Quill's and Quill's Coffee Roasters. And I know that they roast some great coffee. I've had their coffee before. I quite like it. And that is the extent of what I know
Yeah, nice.
about Louisville. I've been once. It is definitely on my list of places to travel to. Um, and I also do know that so to sponsor my run to nationals, because competing is very expensive, I threw a latte art throwdown fundraiser in Cincinnati in February with the help of some friends of mine. And I had a whole bunch of Louisville baristas come out and compete in the latte art throwdown, which was awesome because I think it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Hmm.
So I had people drive 2 hours away or 2 hours to help support me. And it probably wasn't about me personally. It was probably about the awesome prizes that I had managed somehow
Oh,
to
come on. It was
procure.
definitely partly about you personally.
Maybe partly.
Yeah.
But I had a whole bunch of baristas come from Louisville. We had a whole bunch of people come from Columbus too. I had a few people come from Indianapolis to compete. So yeah, that's the extent of what I know about
Mm.
Louisville.
So I'm just gonna quickly remind people if you have questions, the little question box. That sounds super weird the way I said it. Little question box in the bottom of your screen. Please send your questions in that way. Because actually now we had Soft Velvet Boy who was with us the other day is commenting.
Hi, Felix. Love
And Glitter
you.
Cat, barista, who I assume you obviously know.
Yes, hello,
Um,
T-Ben.
yes. And do you have loads of plants around you at the moment?
I do not, unfortunately. So the plants were one of the first things that we moved.
Oh.
Um, I know it's heartbreaking. I have three plants in here with me right now. They're in the windows, so I wouldn't be able to show them well without bright lights. But I have a 4 foot tall rubber tree in the window. I have a night blooming cactus, and then I have a snake plant. And
No.
that's it. I think I have about 40 plants in total, but they're all at the new place.
Mm,
Hmm.
that sounds good.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're a lot.
Nice.
Hmm.
And so you said that while you were competing, you felt it was like super fun, and
Yes.
you were thinking about competing again. Would you
Hmm.
compete again?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Of course, we don't really know the state of competition right now with coronavirus, and the
Oh,
fact
you said the
that
bad word.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
The
I'm
fact
kidding.
that a whole bunch of things have been postponed, things are being canceled.
Hmm.
We don't know the current state of coffee competition. Who knows? But if it happens again, hopefully when it happens again, I will definitely compete. Like I said, I've already been thinking about what I want to do in the years to come, what I want my routines to be about. Um, for my 2 routines this year, I did them based on identity and what identity means to me and what representation means to me. And definitely probably going to follow in that train of thought, because identity is something that's very important to me and that I think that we don't talk about super much as an industry or as a culture in general of human beings.
Hmm.
So I've definitely been thinking a lot about what I want to say in the years to come. So long story short, yes, I would love
Yes.
to compete again.
And would you compete in barista or would you compete in something else?
I think that I would compete in barista again because I heard someone say one time that barista is all about showmanship, which is not entirely true. Like, we put so much work into it, but there is also some flair to it, to barista, that I really, really love. And also, I think that's where a lot of my strengths lie. I think my strengths lie in espresso, like pulling espresso, um, being like a service industry person. A lot of the to me, a lot of barista is about service and about the level of service that you can provide while you're also providing these incredibly like high quality coffee drinks.
Hmm.
I do like I've been thinking a lot about coffee and good spirits, or SIGs, and how kind of exciting that sounds, but also I have no background in it. I don't really drink alcohol. I know nothing about it, but every single glitter cat who was in coffee and good spirits this year, they all qualified, which is amazing. And they're all so cool too. Like, Glitter Cat recently had most of the coffee and good spirits competitors make like quarantine cocktails that people can replicate at home. And I watched those videos and I was like, wow, these people are so cool. Like, coffee and good spirits, those people are so cool. The roasters are super cool. Um, I think that in a perfect world, I would love to get involved in the brewing competition. I can't do that.
Why
Like, all
not?
the, ugh. I I have so much respect and so much love for all of the people who compete in Brewers Cup. I don't think I could do it. I don't know.
Is
Maybe
it
it's
the
the
talking
same.
and pouring?
Yeah, I don't maybe. I just like manual brewing is not my wheelhouse. It's not what I'm super confident in, but also I just love baristas so much. I think that I would love to do Brewers Cup maybe one day, maybe like down the line. I'll move to Brewers Cup, but I think I would stick with barista for right now.
Mm, nice. And if you were to do, would you do another one based on identity again?
I think so. I think that I would try and definitely try and find a way to integrate it more into my coffee, because I didn't talk super much about my coffee itself this past season, but I definitely want to kind of bring more attention to that,
Hmm.
and to be able to talk more about the coffee itself. So I definitely do want to talk about identity, but I know I need to find ways to kind of tie that into the story of the coffee. So I've been thinking about that a little bit during my quarantine downtime, because I have so much of it now. But I think that I would definitely still talk about identity, because that's what's most important to me. And I remember at Glitter Cat we talked a little bit about building your routine and how it's important to talk about something that's important to you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, not otherwise, why do it? Because of course you should still do it, but I don't think it's as impactful. if you're not talking about something that's super important to you, or talking about something that matters to you or that's important. It doesn't matter if other people think it's important. It matters if you think it's important.
Yeah, I think
And that's important.
I asked I don't know if you've ever seen really old like barista competition
Mm-hmm.
routines
A
where
few.
there's like some of the stories I heard of like the really old ones. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like kitschy and that kind of stuff. It wasn't as serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to actually another glitter cat the other week on this Anthony Ragler. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've
I
ever
love
met him.
Anthony. Mm-hmm.
And we discussed, do you think it's in like that like barista competitions should have a message or should
Mm-hmm.
they be used as an avenue to talk about certain things like this?
Mm-hmm.
But what would your answer be to that?
I think I definitely think so. I think that with the platform that barista gives us, especially the fact that barista is broadcast, it's live streamed. I
Hmm.
don't think it should be the only competition that is live streamed and recorded. I want to see everybody's routines throughout the competitions. I really do. I don't think barista should be the only one that's recorded and live streamed. But I do think that as baristas who are on these qualifying regional and national stages, that it is a great way to use that platform to give a message that, like I said, that is important to you. And I think that it's, if someone doesn't want to talk about identity or doesn't want to talk about social change or something like that on stage, that's okay. If you want to totally just stick to your coffee and talk about anaerobic fermentation, that's totally fine.
Mm.
But I also think that for the people who want to talk about something that is more social oriented, more identity oriented, and more political, that's super important. And I think
Yeah.
it comes down to the platform that we're able to use and kind of the visibility that we're able to bring. One of the reasons that I competed, one of the how should I one of the reasons that I gave myself to actually go through with nationals, because when I qualified, I didn't know if I would actually sign up. I didn't
Mm.
know if I would register for nationals. Um, for a good portion or a good piece of time in there, I didn't think I deserved it. That was wrong. I did deserve it. I worked very hard for it. Um, but I knew I needed to find a reason to get, or a purpose. I knew I needed to give myself a purpose. Why was I going to be getting on this national stage? And for me, that purpose was visibility.
Mm.
I wanted people to be able to see someone on stage who maybe doesn't fully look or act like other barista competitors, or kind of like what the average barista competitor looks like. And I wanted people to see that it doesn't just have to be people talking about fancy processing methods, or it doesn't have to be, just people who have access to a lot of resources. Most of my wares were donated or borrowed. I did crowdfunding for a lot of my stuff. I received really generous sponsorship from Acaia and a few other coffee companies. And I wanted to show people that you can take part in these competitions and you can do well and you can succeed without, having access to a whole bunch of resources or having access to hordes of money, or having access to really fancy experimental coffees, and that
Yeah.
you can bring a naturally processed Rwandan coffee on stage and you can give an awesome presentation and you can raise awareness and raise visibility and inspire other people to get on stage. And that's why I did it.
Yeah.
That's the purpose I gave for myself, at least.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you should definitely be proud.
I it took a while.
Yes.
It took a few weeks after nationals, after the disappointment and being like, oh, I could have done so much better. I did. I remember talking to someone, a fellow glitter cat, about you get up on stage and you call time and immediately your mind goes blank, and you just kind of do your routine. And you don't realize the amount of stupid things that you do until you're under pressure. Because I made some stupid mistakes. Like, and after getting off stage or like watching my routine, I was like, why did I do that? I have never once in the entirety of my barista career made that mistake. And of course, I did it on a national stage when I'm being recorded and judged. Like, why did I do that then? So it definitely took a few weeks of beating myself up mentally for it. And then afterward, I was like, you know what? I loved my routine. I've watched my routine, my nationals routine multiple times, because it was a good routine. I did well, especially for a first year competitor who was super, super anxious. I'm a very anxious person, and someone without access to like a whole bunch of resources. I was like, you know what? I'm proud of myself. I did awesome.
Nice. So we're gonna go on the question that Felix just said, and believe we've definitely touched on it. What has shaped your coffee career, other than say, since we've already kind of spoken about competition, like what do you think has shaped your coffee career? Either like where you've been, who you've been around, what you've been around, even.
Yeah, so like I said, when I first got started in coffee, I did not think of it as a career. To me, it was a job. It was a part-time job that I went to shifts, I pulled espresso, I made drinks, I served people, and I went home and I didn't think about it anymore. Um, I think the biggest thing for me that's shaped my career and that kind of turned that job into a career is the people. It's really the people. It's the community. And the people that I've met. I don't really think, I mean, I personally did not stay in coffee for the coffee. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love coffee. I drink a lot of it. I really like making it. I like experimenting with it. But what brings me back shift after shift and day after day is the people. It's the communities that you make. It's the people that you get to know. For me, I really love getting to know people throughout the industry, at all levels of the industry. I talked a little bit to the producer of my coffee. I wish I'd been able to talk to her more. I worked really closely with my roaster, who's actually also a very good friend of mine. For competition, I worked really closely with them. I've worked really closely with a few companies over the past year for competition at least, and seeing the way that coffee people really step up to support each other, and to give each other resources and to give each other love, is really not only the main reason that I've stayed in coffee, but the main reason I've decided to make it a career. So I would definitely say that the biggest shaping for me of my career is the people.
You've gone like you're a little bit frozen, I think. But
Yeah,
we can
wait,
still
you
hear
too.
you. That could be me.
You're also a little frozen.
Yeah, I think my German internet has cut out, unfortunately. Oh no, not the
Oh
German internet.
no.
That's
Oh
a little bit
no.
better. Oh no.